Welcome to Bath Talks with Jim Bruce.
How's everybody doing today? What I thought I'd talk about today is creation science versus evolution. And I know that's a pretty heady topic, so I thought there'd be an easy way for me to get into it by talking about something less controversial, and that is a flat earth versus a globe, versus a round ball-like earth. Of course, we've all heard that there are people who are flat earthers, but for the most part, nobody takes them serious. There's not actually a debate between a flat earth and a globe. Anybody who believes in a flat earth, we all consider silly. We don't take them serious. And that's the right way to act. Of course that's silly. We all know that. It's a given. But for some reason, when it comes to creation science, it's not quite that way. A lot of people want to give creationists a fair shake. And I think probably it's because they've tied it so closely to religion. It's so tied close to religion, and we all, because we're nice people, we don't want to insult people, we don't want to hurt people's feelings, so we act like creation science is valid. Creation science is no more valid than a flat earth. It's not science. Now, what do I mean when I say that it's not science? Well, there's a couple things I mean. The very obvious thing that I mean is that it's inconsistent with observation. We look at nature, and nature just doesn't support a creationist point of view. So from a scientific standpoint, you look at nature, and if it was a scientific theory, it's refuted. Just a literal creationist view of the earth doesn't hold up to scrutiny. I also mean other things, though, and we should clarify what we mean by science. So science should be predictive. That's one of the things you know about good science, is science makes predictions. Like Einstein's general theory of relativity wasn't just a little bit of math. It made predictions that could have shown the theory to be false. But as it turned out, those predictions came true, and we went, oh, okay, this theory of general relativity, it looks like that's how the universe works. And more evidence pointed toward the idea that this was true. So all the while, Einstein's greatest strength to his theory was the fact that it could have been disproven. Creation science can't be. There's no test that you could suggest that would disprove it, because it's not predictive. It's not really a theory. Not really. It doesn't make other predictions also. Like, if you make the assumption that creation science is true, it doesn't offer up any insight into the world that we live in. Now, evolution, on the other hand, does. The amazing thing about evolution is when we came up with this conceit that we're part of the natural world and that we achieve the complexity we have through a natural process of selection, it pointed to other things we could understand about our own biology, about how medicine works. I mean, modern medicine is deeply dependent on evolution. That's an amazing thing when you think about it. It's very, very predictive. Also, evolution could have been disproven. I mean, creation scientists think that they haven't, but it could have been. There are things in nature that could have told us that, nope, evolution is not true. One of the biggest could have been DNA. Evolution was conceived of at a time when we didn't really have an idea for DNA. When we discovered DNA, DNA could have been the death of evolution. It could have destroyed the theory, but it didn't. It affirmed the theory when we saw that, wow, we share DNA with less complex life forms, and that in fact, all the way up the tree of life, creatures great and small share DNA with subtle differences. It told us that we're part of the natural world, we came from the natural world, and all of our complexity can be understood as an attempt to survive, which is really what it is. So that's what evolution is. Evolution is predictive, and someday evolution could potentially be disproven. It's unlikely at this point, though. The evidence just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting. There's physical evidence. There's its predictive nature, there's evidence within our own bodies. All along the scale, evolution stands up to scrutiny. Creation science doesn't, because it's an empty science. There's nothing there. One of the tells that lets you know how vacuous creation science is how the literature completely caters to repeating lies that have already been disproven. Aspects of evolution have been refined through the decades. Modern scientists don't make assertions that have been disproven. They move on from them and they look on at the theory from different points of view. Creation literature is filled with stuff that's been refuted, and what they do is they rephrase it, or in some cases, they just say it again, hoping you don't know better. That's dishonest. Now, the problem I see with creation science, beyond the fact that it breeds ignorance, is that it does a great disservice to people who have faith. I have a lot of good friends who are of a variety of faiths. I have some good Muslim friends, very good Christian friends. All of them hold their faith very dearly and very sincerely and very intelligently. Creation science undermines that. It's not an intelligent way to hold your faith if you adhere to a point of view that is objectively false and depends on you holding on to lies. Moreover, I want to tell you something that I don't think people have thought of before. Creation science can be the thing that kills off faith completely. Because here's the thing. The natural world is not going to change to cater to things that you'd like to be true. The natural world is the natural world. If you really want evolution to be false, it doesn't matter. Nature doesn't care what you think. Nature's not going to try to make you more comfortable by adjusting to your world point of view. So if you adhere to that point of view, and if your faith is dependent on denying the natural world, eventually your faith will die off. But your faith doesn't have to be dependent upon that. Literalism within Christianity is actually a fairly modern thing. A lot of classic Christian thinkers weren't literalists. They understood their faith to be something deeper than that. I would also like to call some of the atheists out. Any atheist who asserts that evolution disproves God is incorrect. I don't care how smart you are, that's not what evolution is for. Evolution was never for proving or disproving God. Evolution is silent on the question of God. The most you can say is that for some people, evolution suggests that there's no God. But guess what? For some other people, they say that evolution suggests there is. Because at that point, it's just an opinion. And we don't debate opinions. And you don't debate opinions as if they're science. So, if you are a person who feels lulled into believing in creation science, let me suggest that you're better than that. Let me suggest that you're smarter than that. Evolution is not a threat to you. Evolution is a critical component of our modern understanding of how the world works. It's stood up to scrutiny time and time again. There's physical evidence. It's predictive. It's key to understanding our biology. If we ever do manage to cure cancer, it's going to start with our understanding of how our biology works and how we evolved as creatures and why we've got cancer in the first place. I love science. I love evolution. And I deeply love the idea that you can find beauty in faith. Those things aren't contradictory. You can find a way to marry them and have them get along just fine. And if you are an atheist, great. That's also good. It's just, let's stop nitpicking and let's start actually objectively understanding what's beautiful about each other's point of view. But one of the things that isn't beautiful is creation science. Creation science is nonsense, and we need to let it go. Well, this has been Bath Talks. I hope you had a fun time. I know I did. I'm in the bath and I'm naked. So, just as God intended, or nature. Good night.
Bath Talks is a Jim Bruce production. Bubbles provided by Amori Arce. If you enjoyed Bath Talks, click subscribe.